So recently I posted the best arena legends to be playing in Apex Legends Season 13, and with a legend tier list comes a weapons tier list. So today I'm going to be telling you guys the best weapons to be using in the brand new season of Apex Legends Season 13 in arena. Hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Dominate, and again, welcome to the channel. I post every other day to help you becoming an Apex Legend, so if that is something you are interested in, then make sure you go down below and drop a sub. So if you've never seen a tier list before, it is a way of ranking things, and obviously today we're going to be ranking the best weapons. We're going to start off at C tier, I'll work our way to S tier, C tier being the worst, and S being the best. Don't forget that this video also has chapters, so you can skip to see where your favorite weapon is instead of watching throughout the whole video. So in C tier, we have a hell of a lot of weapons here, because I didn't actually want to put anything in D tier, because there's no standalone weapons in arena, I now believe, that are genuinely awful. So all the bad ones are not as good, let's say. I put them into C tier, so we've got quite a few to go over. But starting us off, we have the L-Star, the Triple Take, the Bow Check, the 30-30 Repeater, the Eva 8, the P2020, and finally the Mozambique. Usually I would put the P2020 and the Mozambique into D tier, but to play the arenas for a little bit longer, I would beg to differ that they are not D tier anymore. Honestly, when you start to upgrade the P2020 and the Mozambique, these weapons become absolutely beast. So yeah, just for that reason, I don't think they should be down in D tier. Now we also have the Eva 8 down in C tier, just because I don't believe shotguns are really the best things to be using in arenas. I believe that SMGs are better than shotguns. That is just my opinion though. And anyway, if we're going off the rank of shotguns anyway, the Eva 8 would be at the bottom because the Massive is now in the care package. There's only two main shotguns. There's the Peacekeeper and the Eva 8, and the Eva 8 is the lesser of the two. So no matter what, the Eva 8 would be under the Peacekeeper, but for today, I'm putting it down in C tier. We also have stuff like the Bow Check and the 30-30 Repeater down in here, but they are much closer to B tier than C tier, and that's because of the little buff they got back a few seasons ago now, where when you upgrade your weapon in arenas and you get the different attachments such as shatter caps, you don't have to manually press a button to get them working. All you have to do is un-ADS, and if you have the shatter caps equipped, it would automatically go to the shatter cap. And I do truly think that this makes these two weapons just so much better, because without pressing an extra button to get these hop-ups working, you have an extra finger or whatever to be pressing other buttons. You have more freedom in your movement, and you don't have to be worrying about changing to the hop-up every single time you un-ADS. So yeah, just for that reason, I believe they're more B tier than C tier, but I don't think they can really compete with any of the weapons above this tier list. So for that reason, they are down in C tier today. Moving up to B tier, we now have the Charge Rifle, the Devotion, the Alternator, Rampage, Sentinel, and finally the RE45. Now let me talk about the RE45 real quick. This weapon is an absolute beast. Again, I do think it's more A tier than B tier, but I don't think it can compete with the weapons above. So for that reason, it is down in B tier. But for weapons like the Devotion, I would usually put that A tier, maybe even S tier. But some weapons like the Havoc has had a buff, and I do believe that they are now better than the Devotion. I'm not saying the Devotion is bad. I'm not saying that whatsoever, because this weapon is still an absolute beast, and you will still find people 3-stacking Devotions all day, every day. Even though it did have a little nerf, I still believe that obviously it's still going to be absolutely amazing. So if you do want to run it, you can do. And just because I put it down in B tier, I'm not saying it's bad. And do expect people still to be 3-stacking Devotions, because that's just what the game is at the moment. Now we have Sentinel, which I believe is at the lower end of B tier, compared to the Charge Rifle, which is at the higher end of B tier. But these two snipers are down in B tier, because there is one of the sniper which is higher than this, which I'm pretty sure you may already know which one that is now. But they simply don't compete with that other sniper. The only thing that puts the Sentinel a little bit better than the Charge Rifle, you could say, is that you can have the 2 cells to make it charged up. And when you do that, you hit shields a lot harder than usual. But that's the only reason you could defend the Sentinel being lower. But for now, I'm putting the Sentinel down lower B tier and the Charge Rifle upper B. Now, I did say before that I believe that SMGs are the way to go in arenas. And I have put the Alternator down in B tier. That's just because I believe this is the lower out of all of the SMGs, but it could also be argued that it is the best, and I'll give you a reason why. So the Alternator has a lower fire rate, meaning you can actually reset your aim because you have time without your mag fully running out. Let's say you miss a couple shots of the Alternator whilst you're shooting, you're able to stop, rearrange your aim, start shooting again, and then hopefully get the kill. But if you're using stuff like the R99, the mag just absolutely shreds and you have no reaction time to readjust your aim, get the kill that way. So if your aim isn't top notch, then I would say the Alternator is the better weapon to be using for you. But if you have reasonably better aim, I would suggest of like the R99, but we'll get onto that something a little bit later. So moving on to A tier now, and every single weapon from A tier and above, so A tier and S tier, are the best weapons to be using in the brand new season of Apex Legends Season 13 in Arenas mode. Don't forget that I also have a Arena Legend tier list, which will be in the description down below. So if you want to know who you should be playing in Arenas in the brand new season of Apex, then make sure you give that video a watch. Don't forget that I've also started my second channel now, and that will also be in the description down below and in my pinned comment. So if you want to see something other than Apex, and more about me and not dominate, then make sure you go over there and drop a sub. There's lots of content coming over that channel, and I'm having a lot of fun. So yeah, make sure you come over. So starting us off in A tier, we have the R99, the Hemlock, the Prowler, the Longbow, Wingman, and finally the Havoc. So the first thing I want to actually talk about is a Longbow, and I believe this is the best sniper in the game, obviously other than the Kraber. So when it comes to arenas, people like to take cover a lot more, and using something like the charge rifle will be a little bit harder to get the full cracks on, and that's because of something called jiggle peeking. People jiggle peek a hell of a lot within arenas, and that's basically where you go in and out of cover very quickly and shooting at the same time. But when you're using stuff like the Longbow, when people are jiggle peeking, you're able to crack them in one as soon as they pop out if your aim is right. If you're using a charge rifle, you will literally be tickling them for 2 damage every single time. But again, with a sniper like the Longbow, you're going to be putting mega damage on the enemy players when they are jiggle peeking. Not only that, it has a decent mag size, and the fire rate is pretty decent too, and the damage is just pretty decent overall. So if you are looking to use a sniper, and snipers are the way to go as well as SMGs within this game, you either want to be sitting back and getting the cracks and wasting their shields, or up close and getting the kill, then if you're using a sniper, I would suggest using a Longbow. So I briefly went over that the Havoc actually had a buff this season, and that's the initial recoil is much easier to control than it ever has been, meaning that this weapon is an absolute beam, and I do think that this is one of the better weapons to actually be picking up in arenas. Upgrading it to the max is absolutely wonderful, especially using for like a 2 times on it as well, can make it from medium to close range, and if your recoil control is that good, then you can actually use it as a long range weapon too. If you want to know how you can get 0 recoil every single time, I have this video in the description down below. And no, I always get the question, is this an exploit? No, it is not. It is a simple trick to get 0 recoil every single time. So if you guys actually want to learn that, then again, it'll be in the description down below. Now the Prowler is the same as the Alternator in the sense that it allows you to readjust your aim, and that's because it is a burst SMG. With the Prowler, you can actually kill someone within 2 or 3 bursts, I believe it is. So the DPS is actually pretty insane on the Prowler, and again, because it's in bursts, you are able to readjust your aim. So let's say after 1 burst, 2 bursts, you aren't hitting any shots, you can stop, then you can readjust your aim and start again. And for that reason, I believe that it is better than the Alternator, and so it is in A tier. But I don't know if it's better than the R99, that is all up to you guys, but the R99 is sitting in A tier too. The R99 has an absolute insane fire rate, pretty decent mag, and again, the DPS is insane too. You can kill someone in a literal clip with this weapon, and trust me, that isn't long. So if you are looking to use an SMG, there is one more SMG you've got to talk about, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the R99 and the Prowler are both a solid choice. Again, with the Hemlock being like the Prowler as a burst, it allows you to readjust your aim, but again, it's up to you whichever AI you want to pick, but the Hemlock is a solid choice. So finally, moving on to S tier now, and we have the best weapons in Apex Legends Season 13 to use in arenas, and we're going to start off with the Spitfire, R301, Flatline, Car SMG, and finally the Peacekeeper. Now, as I said before, the Peacekeeper is now the best shotgun within the game. Now the Mastiff has been taken into the care package. So for that reason alone, it obviously will go to the top of the tier list because it is the best one out of them all. But I do believe that the Peacekeeper is S tier no matter what. When being up close and personal in arenas, and you now have the kinetic feeder when you upgrade the Peacekeeper to purple, it makes it even more viable than it ever has been. This shotgun does a hell of a lot of damage. When it has the purple bullet, it has a pretty decent fire rate, and the mag size ain't too bad for a shotgun either. So with all of that taken into account, this weapon is in S tier for me. We have the Car SMG, which I believe is the best SMG to be using. That's for a couple of things. If you get the recoil down, again, you can learn how to get 0 recoil by the video in the description. If you get the recoil down pitch perfect, this weapon becomes an absolute beam. Not only that, the hip fire is absolutely insane. So up close, this thing is an absolute menace. The one thing that isn't really viable compared to BR mode is that you can be versatile with the weapon and change ammo types. Yes, you can technically do this, but it's not like you're going to be finding ammo dotted around the map. you may get it off an enemy player, or if you're running, let's say, an R301 and a car, you may use the ammo from the R301 instead. But that's about it. When it comes to actual sheer damage, this weapon is an absolute beast, and it is in S tier for me. Now, the R31 and the flatline are both in S tier, as they are, my personal opinion, the best ARs within the game. Now, the R31 is just a straight beam, and the flatline can be used at close range and medium to long range too. They both have pretty decent recoil to be using. Mag size is decent, damage is huge, but it is just all up to you which is the best out of the two. Now, I would say actually that the flatline is better than the R301, but again, that's all up to you to decide. But the truth is that these two weapons are some of the best weapons within the game. Finally, we have the Spitfire, which is the LMG, which was taken out of the care package, and let me just say, it's better than ever. This thing absolutely punishes anyone or anything out in the open, and again, if you get the recoil down, this thing's an absolute beam. Can be used long, medium, and if you really want to, can be used up close, but you might as well be running it with something like the car SMG. This weapon is absolutely insane. It has a mag size of 50 if you upgrade it to the max. Shreds through armor, flesh, and also man-made things such as rampart walls, Newcastle walls, that kind of thing too. That's caught today's video, guys. If you found the video helpful and or entertaining in any way, shape or form, then make sure you go down below and drop a sub. I just want to say thank you guys so much for your support recently. Don't forget, if you do want to subscribe, you can unsubscribe later if you really want to, and at the end of the day, it is free and you're not harming anyone by subscribing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. Once again, it's been my pleasure. Until next time, keep dominating legends.